I think there are a number of them. So the one comes to mind is short-termism, the fact that in too many companies we focus on today and tomorrow, not on day after tomorrow. The whole notion of profit before people and the fact that the pressures are just so strong in many organizations on going up to the board of directors and the chief executive officer. And that filters down very quickly to a decline in the quality of life in the workplace. So I would say, I think another factor is business school education that focuses so much on the financial, and very little does one really get into to come to grips with the problems, the human problems in managing an organization. And you can't get away from this word greed in business today. It just filters through the organization and destroys much of the motivation of people down the line. And the other notion is this tendency to hire and fire so quickly that there's no stability for the life of people in the organization. I think it's difficult to teach business ethics. And business schools, I think, increasingly are putting out programs in that field, but it's so deeply involved in the essence of the individual that unless in one's youth and growing up and family environment and so forth, those values come through, it's very difficult to transform someone. The other factor is the extent to which the environment within a company fosters ethical practices or not. And as an employee, you learn pretty quickly what ethics mean or don't mean. So in terms of a program, it has to come from the top down. If it's within a company, if it's within a business school, I think business schools are tending to do more, but then again, ethics professors are not necessarily the leaders in the faculty of many business schools. I think one of the things that we have done in EBBF, which is tried to address that problem, is our relationship with ISEC, the student organization, which is very values-oriented, and they tend to be the same values that we have. So we've done a lot in the areas, particularly of corporate social responsibility, sustainability. These are things that are meaningful to them, and at the same time begin to create a more ethical environment. And these students are wonderful leaders of the future. And if we can contribute in some small way to building those values into them, then I think that will be it has been. We've been doing it for 15 years now. Well, certainly the way one acts is essential. Beyond that, preaching does not seem to go very far. So trust comes by having demonstrated, I think, the qualities needed to be trusted. I guess one word that comes to mind is values, the value of values. And but that alone does not transform another individual. It can open his or her mind, and it needs a lot of repetition and reinforcement and effort particularly on the part of the individual concerned. Well, when you first contacted me, I began wondering what is spiritual capital and what's the role of spirituality? Is it relevant to business or not? I think too much of what one reads tends to relate spirituality and business to religion, and for a lot of people, it's very tied to religion. I think in the real world, though, that spirituality is a much broader concept and more relevant than simply viewing it as an outgrowth of one or the other of the world religions. So I think it's a very valid concept, there's no question about it, and for professionals, for leaders and organizations. I come away with the feeling that we should be talking more about spiritual capital, about spirituality in business. I think probably a lot of other people just sort of assume without challenging their assumption that spirituality does not have a place in business, and they're reading the wrong literature.